Hey friends, so welcome back to DBC Live. We are streaming from YouTube and also on Facebook. So you can find us at both places, YouTube, DBC Inc. Media, and on Facebook, Dave Burgess Consulting Inc. So we are so excited that you decided to join in today. If you are joining us for the Book Birthday Live, please do pop over in the comments. Hey Matt, welcome, and tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. All of the comments will be entered to win a free book of DBC Inc. Choice. It's kind of like the party favors of our birthday. So you definitely want to drop a comment over in the comment section because it enters you to win a free book of choice. I mean, what more could you want? And you get to celebrate with us. So we have a special guest, the author of our brand new book, Project-Based Learning Anywhere. We're so excited to bring her to the DBC Inc. family, Lori Elliott, but I probably should call her Dr. Lori Elliott on the show today. We're super duper excited to have her. So please do, Lori, introduce yourself more formally than just my author sister and the author of this incredible book. Tell us what you do. Tell us where you're from, if anyone doesn't already know you. And while she is sharing, be sure and jump over in the comments. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and remember, all of those comments are entered to win a free book of choice at the end of the show. It's our party favor for this birthday bash.
Well, thank you, Tara. It is so good to be here. And thanks for the comments already and for the folks already saying they're excited. That makes me feel so good about things. But I am Lori Elliott, as you mentioned, and I'm actually from Southwest Missouri. So so it's kind of cold here today, by the way, but that's okay. It's been a beautiful day. And I have been a teacher and educator for almost 30 years and taught lots of different grade levels, was a tech integration specialist, and also a literacy coordinator and facilitator. And you know, project-based learning is just at the heart of everything I do and I've always done. And so it was my desire to share with teachers a guidebook that they could have to use that would be super practical. And along the way, as I would be sharing, now I work with teachers, you know, in training and partnering with them side by side to, you know, implement things in their classroom. And they'd ask me all these amazing questions about project-based learning. I was like, I just need to get this on paper, right? I just need to put this down because these are really good questions. And it really made me be reflective on the journey that I've been on for a long, long time, like 30 years. And that's what the book's about. It's just, that's what it is. And that's who I am. I'm just a good old girl from Nixon, Missouri.
Well, you're not far from me. I guess I didn't even know how close we were.
Out here in the Midwest, you know, it's just, it's all kind of fun that you got folks that are all around me. Like I hear from people from Arkansas and Illinois, and they're like, oh, wow, that's really not that far from you. No, it's not.
I know. And everything's drivable. Like in the Midwest, everything's drivable. We're like, we don't have to go over any kind of oceans or anything.
Super easy.
Yeah, we can totally get there. Not very long. So excited. We are so excited. Thank you for joining us. We have Ryan Reed, Jason, Matt. He is a fan of the Lori Elliott fan club. Fan club. We are too, Matt. We are too. And Mark, thank you for joining us. We're super duper excited to have all of you in this show with us. Remember, keep those comments coming over on the side. We'll be asking Lori some questions in a little bit. And we would love if you have questions for Lori. That's what this is all about. This is about celebrating this incredible book, Project-Based Learning Anywhere. And we're going to talk a little bit about that title and why she chose that title. And then if you have questions, though, for her, like what's in the book, what can we expect, all of these different things, you can ask those over in the comments, and you get to talk to the author right here live. So keep those coming. Lori, so while we were thinking about this incredible book, I've gotten the honor of working with you most of the way through this journey, but I'm sure that our audience is interested in knowing, why do you feel that Project-Based Learning Anywhere is the book that we need in our world right now for the students and teachers that we serve?
That's such a good question. You know, I think one of the things that I think about is my own personal life. So I'm a mom of two. My kids are grown, and I have a daughter-in-law, and you know, but it doesn't matter what stage of life I've been in my real world. It's always a project, right? So I think that life is about projects, whether we're in the classroom, in our personal life, it's just about projects. But can I just tell you, because of the pandemic, that went on overload. So we were thrown into situations where we were scrambling to find solutions for things. So that's one of the reasons I think this book is powerful. It was going to be powerful anyway, but I think it's so appropriate for where we're all at. I have a lot of teachers that are communicating with me and saying either, number one, they were scrambling to engage their kids in virtual or hybrid or blended instruction. What do I do? PBL is the answer, right?
Right.
Others are like, I'm face to face, but my kids are so anxious, and they're so non-engaged, and they're just carrying a lot of weight. What can we do? Project-based learning. And so I think that a couple of things. I think number one, this mirrors what we're going through as educators, so we can all totally embrace it and go, yep, we've gone through that ourselves, and we're continuing to be on the path of that. And I think secondly, it really does speak to what so many teachers are saying right now. I really want to connect with my kids. I want them to see the reason we're learning, and I want to engage them again. And I want to go beyond that. I really want to empower them so that they want to love learning again. So I am thrilled that project-based learning is here, and we titled it, I think you were going to ask about that, but the title was quite going back and forth trying to figure out what is the best title. And honestly, it was a different title until the pandemic, right? And then when that hit, we decided to really work with that and say, we're embracing that. I'm embracing that. The teachers that I'm collaborating with, we're embracing it. And we realized we can do project-based learning anywhere. We can do it whether we are face-to-face, we're virtual, we're hybrid, we're blended, we're high flex. We can do it anywhere because the principles remain the same. And that's why, to me, this is like a breath of fresh air right now at the beginning of the new year, for teachers to really have that. And I hope that they will find it really, really useful.
Agreed. I mean, we are living a project-based learning project right now. I mean,
every day.
Right. And I feel like project-based learning anywhere is a perfect title, because anything that we jump in and try, we take a risk and try something new, we are not going to get it right the first time. And most people don't just jump in, try something brand new and crush it the first time. And so I think if we could foster this mindset in our students, then stuff like, hopefully I don't ever have to go through another global pandemic, but should they're prepared for that. They're like, okay, let's think solution oriented. Let's think, what can we try and enter it and try again and learn from that mistake and try again until we find something that might work. Because that's exactly what educators across the world were doing this past year and still doing. And it's beautiful. But I think sometimes, Lori, this may be an assumption. So if this is an assumption and you guys are in the audience, you're like, no, Tara, that's absolutely not true. That's okay. Put it over in the comments and enter to win a free book. But I do think sometimes as an educator, when I was in the classroom, for sure, our administrators would talk about these great big things, these big projects that were going to take a long time. And honestly, I was all in because I actually love this stuff. But I remember my colleagues saying, you know what, we can't take on another thing. Like, this is too much stuff. Like, we have all these standards to teach. We have all this stuff to do, and we can't do this thing because we have all these other lessons that need to be taught. I'd love for you to speak to us a little bit about how project-based learning anywhere truly helps us to accomplish the thing we need to accomplish in a much more engaging, fun way.
That is, you know what? That is the root of a lot of conversations that I have with teachers who say, yeah, I love that, but, and so here's the thing. The first thing that I would say is that it is a mind shift. It is not seeing project-based learning as one more thing, but seeing project-based learning is the way that the kids are going to learn the very same things you need to already teach. I'm all about that. I'm not about creating more work. I'm about doing what is practical. And for me, why this was always has always been my go-to method of organizing instruction is that, man, I need to work smarter, not harder. So if I can choose the best standards, which I talk about that in the book, how do you know what those are? Choose those best standards, cluster them, and then this is how the kids are going to tackle all those at one time and know those better than they would have any other way. Then, man, this is not only a time saver, it is going to help us with the next question that teachers have is, how do I assess? How do I hold them accountable? Will they learn it? You don't understand. I have to give these tests. I'm like, oh, I do. I so get it. I'm from Missouri, right? Like we're all about standardized testing here. And that's part of me. And I had to learn how to figure out, how do I address standards and assessments and those standardized testing? And I have great news. We can do it with project-based learning. So to answer your question, once I think teachers really understand it's not one more thing, and it does not have to last 47 weeks, and it doesn't have to be more work on the teacher. In fact, I'm going to say it really needs to be about the kids. They need to be doing the learning and the researching and the work, although we're there with steps there to facilitate that. I think that once teachers really take that step, they're like, oh my goodness, you're right. Like so much was accomplished. And teachers can't handle one more thing right now. And I'm talking as a collective, we can't. Our plates are full, we're tired, we're exhausted, we've got this. And what I want folks to see is this is not one more thing, but this might actually lighten loads. It really, really, truly. And having said that, I also want to make it clear, this in no way says throw out everything you've been doing. Yes. This in no way says that. This says, hey, when it's the right standards and the right things that you need to teach, this is really a fantastic option to do that. It'll help you save time and energy and make the kids more excited and engaged and empowered. But it doesn't mean it's for everything. I'm not that person. And so I want us to know that up front, that teachers don't have to give up things they've always done that they know work effectively. This is just another option of when those key concepts come up that they want to teach and really engage those kiddos. This is the option. This is the way to do it.
Agreed. And, I found when I did this well with my students, they came out because of the experience of learning through the process. They came out just like us, through the global pandemic. We had to experience it. We were kind of thrown in it. Like we had to do it. We had to figure it out. And because of that, it's solid. Like all the apps that I've learned over the last year, I feel solid with them. I feel like I could teach them. Right. And I think it's just because I had to experience it on such a real level. Like if there were standards for how to, accomplish those apps that I had to learn just to be able to communicate with our authors and do the work that we needed to do as a publishing company, I would have learned them. I would have checked them off in the first couple of months because I was living it. Like you said, live it, learn it, love it. And I think that's what happens when kids get to dive in and they get to take ownership of their learning in that very real way. It's hard for us as teachers to give up that control, if you will, and let them live it. But when they live it and learn it, they end up loving it. And also they end up retaining it forever. It's a long lesson that they've learned. And it's probably something they will remember years later. They're like, hey, Miss Elliott, you remember when we did? And I feel like that's probably true.
It is true. And I had to laugh when you said that because sprinkled throughout the book, especially the first part of the book, are actual quotes from some of my former students who are now adults. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to know before I even started this whole thing, look, is this all just in my head that this went really well? Do you ever do that as a teacher?
Yeah.
oh, this is working really well. But what do the kids say? And what do they say when they're older? Do they still remember it? Because if they don't, I'm not going to tell teachers to do what I've done if it's not going to work or matter. So I reached out to former students from high school and up, middle school, high school and up, and they sent me quotes of what they remembered. And Tara, you're right on target. They remembered what we learned in those project-based learning units. They remembered working with others. They remembered the concepts. They remembered the dynamics there. Some things I didn't remember. And that honestly was when I said, I have to go ahead and get this down. I have to share this with others because it's not just my perception. I've got students saying, yes, it made a difference for me. And isn't that what we want? We want kids to love learning and remember those things. And so I just feel really excited that they shared those thoughts with me too.
I love that. I love it so much. And I love what Mark Rendell has to say over here about working smarter and not harder and how important that is for our teachers during this virtually hybrid learning anywhere kind of setting that we have right now. I think it's so true. And I wish so bad we could just say the right things that would help teachers to realize, or educators or administrators even, to realize that this is, when paired with the right unit, it is a smarter way to work instead of harder. And the hardest part, and I love what Mark said too, he said the hardest part is giving up the control. And I think that's true.
It is true.
It is so true, because we're used to, everything being in a tight little bow, and this is exactly how we're going to do it. And we're going to test it like this. It's going to work beautifully. Everybody's going to learn. But giving up that control and allowing them to experience the learning like that is just so powerful.
And in thinking about control, because we're all that way as teachers, right? We don't like the idea of chaos. We don't like the idea even thinking of chaos. But here's the magic, I think, to this approach. Because I taught forever in the classroom, and I continue to be in the classroom with teachers trying things out and designing projects. Here's what I know also. We also love a good step-by-step. We do. As teachers, we love a good step-by-step. That eases our anxiety about losing control. So here's the way the book is written. It's not all philosophy at all. In fact, it is step-by-step. Because I found, and I had a lot of teachers say, if you could just line it out for me, I'll try it. And then if I can do it myself, I think I could go on and do it my own. And at first I was hesitant because I was like, how do I put down like what I do? When I really reflected, every successful project-based learning unit for 30 years has had the same steps. And so I feel like that in the book, one of the things that I do is I tackle those things that make us stay up at night as a teacher. Okay. Number one, how do I keep control? So let me give you a step-by-step to show you what you do each unit. Your units are all going to be different. And I'm going to give you tons of examples, but this is it. So you feel like you're in control. The second thing is that I find that we worry about things like time management. We worry about things like grades. We worry things, again, about curriculum. There is nothing I didn't cover because I had to wrestle with that as a teacher, and I'm still wrestling with those realities. And Tara, one of the things that we paused as the pandemic hit, I had to learn how to do this in a virtual environment. And so I came back to this after these last few months, and that's the last things that we added, because I said, it can't go out, and you are a good encourager about that. It can't go out without us looking at the reality. So, yep, we're new into this game of doing it virtually and blended, et cetera. But we lived it for some months, and I actually walked teachers through a step-by-step for that. That if you're teaching in those ways, you're okay. Like, I got you covered. Here's what I'm learning, and so that teachers can feel like that they're equipped with, again, all those things that keep us up at night. I just tried to answer them all and be real honest about those things and not hide from them.
Yes, and I think this book is just packed with authenticity. I love that about you, Lori, that it's just so real. And I can just see a teacher, okay, I'm worried about this. And then very next chapter, next page turn, you're like, oh, and this. And you're like, okay, no excuses. Let's do this thing. So I'm really excited. Thanks, Pam. We are so excited about this book too. I feel like
Pam's a really good friend for a lot of years.
Love it. And I love Matt too. Matt over here.
Absolutely.
Everyone needs this book. You couldn't be more right.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt.
As you guys are, as we're closing out the show, if you have any questions for Lori, please do drop them over in the comment section. I will let her, she shared a lot about the book and all kinds of things you can expect from the book. But Lori, I'm curious, the last question I have for you was, what was your favorite part about writing the book? It could be the process, or it could be like a specific piece of the book. This is just something I love to ask because it's really for me more than anybody, but maybe people want to hear about it.
That's so interesting. I loved it. I will be honest, my favorite part was something that I did I was down to the last, I don't know how many chapters of the book left. And I wanted to seclude myself so I could really focus in on it. So I went to the beach and I went to the beach and in other projects, I'd never done that. I'd always just stayed home but I gave myself that gift and I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and I stayed for 10 days and I just kind of hibernated there and wrote and just walked on the beach when I had a moment where it didn't make sense or I didn't know where to go. And I just enjoyed that. And that was so refreshing, so that when I turned it all in, I just felt like that was such a good way to tie it together. It gave me plenty of time. So I will do that. If I ever have another big project or another writing project, I've learned I like that idea of going away and secluding myself somewhere lovely, just to write in a lovely place. Not that Missouri's not gorgeous, but there is something about the waves, right? There is something.
True. I think every Midwest girl, we love the beach. Just give us some waves and the sound of the waves. And I'm just listening to them on my phone. I literally have just a little playlist of waves. I love it. If I can't get there, then I got to be able to hear it. So Mark has a question for you, Lori. How long did it take you to actually feel comfortable using PBL with your students? Because maybe it isn't comfortable the first time. It wasn't for me the first few times, but I enjoyed watching the students be so excited about it, but it wasn't exactly comfortable for me as a teacher.
Well, that's really funny. When I was in college to become a teacher, I taught preschool to pay the bills. That's how I paid my way through college. So that was awesome, because when I taught preschool, it was obviously very child developmentally friendly. And with that kind of got me used to letting kids have freedom. So then when I got my first teaching job, I never intended PBL to be as big of a part of me as it became, but it did literally within weeks, because I had this class of such diverse learners. But having said that, can I tell you, I'm very straight up honest, some of the things I did were hot messes. Some of the things that I did are not true blue project-based learning. Did I do thematic teaching? Heck yeah. Did I do integrated units? Did I have some things that were just a dumb, bad idea? Absolutely. And I'm super honest about that in the book. But for me to really get in the groove, I did find that the more that I tried, by the end of my second year, I really felt like I had found my groove. Even though that was years ago. Now, again, as the world changed and expectations changed, I kept changing my practice and what those units look like. And my stars, what looks like now is so much more, it's so much more effective and intentional now than back then. But it is a process. And I know we kind of sometimes hate hearing it's a journey, but for me, this is such a journey. And I own every bit of it, and I wouldn't give up any of the mistakes, and I wouldn't give up any of the pieces, because I think that's what continues to help me to embrace it, and to help teachers when they say, is this PBL? And what if I just start here? And I'm always like, just try it. There's no PBL police. We just want to embrace and learn with our students. And so to feel comfortable, I always encourage teachers to try to do at least 2 PBL units a year. My preference would be 3, but I try 2. And the reason for that is if they only do 1 and it goes swimmingly, they're like, wow, I'm a rock star. If it goes terrible, then they're like, dumbest thing I ever tried, never going to do that again. So if you do 2, you can tweak it, right? So the next experience is a little better. If you do 3, you really have that opportunity to learn from, again, what management worked, what kinds of things work better. So that would, I don't know if that answers the question thoroughly, but that's kind of where I'm at. And that's really my advice, is not to just do a one and done, because kids, that won't be as effective. But if they could do 2 or 3, I think by the end of that 3rd one, teachers will start to feel like, oh, I'm getting this. And then certainly by the 2nd year of doing a couple more, they'll find their rhythm. They'll find their groove.
Yeah, agreed. As with anything, I think you shouldn't ever, but I'm the queen of it. So if I do not like to fail. Ever.
I'm a better teacher. Yeah, I'm a better teacher, mom, wife, friend, because I failed so much.
Yeah, I know, but it still doesn't get any easier. I've never liked it. But I'm also the queen of keep trying it again until I perfect it. That's just my jam. I'm like, no, I am not going to give up. I'm like not a quitter. Trust me. There are times I think my boys, they're like, Mom, just quit. Like you're just throwing the towel right now. It's fine. But I can't. I just got to keep trying it until I fix it. And I think that's the kind of the mindset we have to have. But it's also the mindset we need to foster in our kids. And project-based learning does that, right? I mean, it just helps them to know we didn't get it right these first few times. We're just going to keep trying it again and again. And maybe at the end of the project, the whole entire thing just didn't go well. You know, maybe they don't even have necessarily. This is one thing I loved about my grad school program, is it was a project-based learning program, my master's program. Literally, we had to, I won't go into detail, but basically we had to move a system. So they partnered with our district. There was a cohort of 10 of us, and we had things that we had to do. Mine was to move our math elementary teachers to standards-based grading in math. It was like a big, huge project. And I only got 5 elementary schools on board. But out of 24, that was a pretty awesome project for 2 years. What was cool, though, I had a colleague or a classmate who her project didn't go. It didn't work. Like, she didn't move the system, even the little tiny system within her school building. And she didn't make an F. She didn't, because the coolest part about it was my professor, Dr. Devin, just measured what she learned through the process. And I think that's something we really need to think about, because the standards sometimes can be learned without an actual beautiful product at the end. I don't know why that just came to me, and bless your hearts for going over just a little bit.
No, that makes total sense. And it really does. And I think that's where we're at, is that doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be Pinteresty perfect. If it is, I'm going to probably go, did the kids really do all that? And so it's just really about us all embracing that. But again, understanding in a practical way how we can do that, even with our littles all the way up to high school. Again, throughout the year, or maybe you're like, I'm embracing it, we're running through the whole year this way. It's just for everybody. And I guess I kind of laugh and go, because I'm old, and I'm kind of tickled about that. But if I'm a little bit older and I taught a lot of grades and I've taught a long time, I love that, because I can really share with you from small to large what this looks like, because I've done it all. And I've done it in a small stage, and I've done it very, very large in my classroom, and again with the teachers I'm working with. So I hope that message resonates, is that we're all just learning it together, but it certainly is such an exciting way for kids to learn. And
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. And so project-based learning anywhere, you heard it. You've heard more than you probably want to hear from me, for sure. Lori is the girl, and she has written this book in such a way that anybody can pick it up, and it doesn't matter where your learning setting is. That should not turn you off from this book. It should actually turn you on to this book, because it literally can work anywhere, and everything we do in life that's meaningful, we typically learn in this way. We do. And we live it, we learn it, and then we end up loving it. And so I love that that's the subtitle of this book, because I think it fits so beautifully. And yeah, if you don't have project-based learning anywhere, If you haven't picked up your copy on Amazon yet, you need to go up to the link above, click it, grab your copy, and then all of the comments over in the comment section. Thank you for joining us live. We will leave this show open for a couple of hours to allow a few more comments to jump in there. And I know a lot of people are getting off of school, so they couldn't join us live. I want to give them an opportunity to watch the live and enter the party favors. But for all of you that did join us live, thank you so much. We will be entering your name to win a DBC Inc. book of choice. And Lori, we are so thrilled to have you on the DBC Inc. family. Like, it's the best thing ever.
It is the best thing ever, and thank you, because you've been amazing, and the whole team. Dave's been awesome, the whole team. It's been fantastic. And just in leaving that, we are in a project-based living world, and one of the things I'm tackling this 2021 is I'm documenting my own PBL. In other words, I realize I'm doing projects all the time, and I'm going to be also sharing what I'm learning as I'm tackling projects. So they can follow me on my blog, and I'm going to start that journey and share some of the projects so that we as teachers can also experience risk taking. And I'll share the flubs and I'll share the successes.
Yes. Tell them where they can follow you on all the socials, Lori.
So I have, my website is drlorielliott.com, and then on that's also on Twitter, Dr. Lori Elliott, and then on Instagram and Facebook, it's Dr. Lori Elliott Ed Consulting. So just look for Dr. Lori Elliott, you'll find me. And I just love learning from everybody, and I'm excited to tackle some new projects myself this year and then see how it goes.
Yes, yes.
You are right. It is life. Absolutely.
It is life. And as you are learning projects too, please tag Lori in social media. Let's share it. It doesn't matter. I'm about to pick up my guitar. It's so dusty. I'm ready to start learning to play it better, to play the piano. And I've been wanting to play my guitar for years, but so that's a project. But I'm going to be tagging Lori. I'm going to be looking at those steps and see how I'm doing in this project-based learning atmosphere over here at the Martin House. So keep in mind, everything's a project. Life is a project, right? And we're living project-based learning right now. So grab your copy, apply it in your classroom, share out your feedback, what you've learned, what you have questions about. Lori is just a DM away, a tag away on social media. And check out her website too on all the projects she'll be sharing as well. So thank you guys for joining today. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.